Over the past few months, the Pittsburgh Steelers have completely ditched their usual blueprint. Gone are the days of conservative roster building, and now they're making bold moves, trading for superstars, and signing big names in a way we haven't seen from this franchise in years. The addition of players like Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, the sending away of George Pickens, and even Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick, this isn't just noise, it's a message. The Steelers are done being a wild card team that barely sneaks in and year out. They're chasing something bigger, something they haven't tasted since the days of Big Ben. And in this video, I'm going to break down each of these major additions of their offseason, give you my honest thoughts on the roster shakeups, and even throw in some early predictions for the Steelers' 2025 season. So with that being said, let's get to the beginning. The beginning of this loud offseason for the Steelers didn't start with additions, it started with subtractions. Letting both Russ and Fields walk to the Jets and Giants respectively sent a clear message. The Steelers were done settling at quarterback. It showed that Mike Tomlin and the front office were not satisfied with just another mediocre finish and quarterback play. They were finally putting their foot down and making a dramatic shift at the most important position in football. Then came a move some anticipated, some doubted, and others felt wouldn't actually influence winning. The signing of Aaron Rodgers. The one-time Super Bowl champion and now 41-year-old Rodgers inked a $13.65 million deal to be the general under center for one of the NFL's most storied franchises. It's a move many thought was obvious, but in true Rodgers fashion, it dragged on nearly half of the summer before he finally put pen to paper. And the Steelers believed that Rodgers is the veteran voice they need to lead them into the 2025 season, with one goal: shake up one of the NFL's toughest divisions and bring some true grit and grind back to the Steel City. And with that came another major swing: the trade for DK Metcalf. The Steelers acquired Metcalf from Seattle in exchange for a 2025 second-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick, and cap considerations. DK's coming off of a somewhat down year by his standards, and Pittsburgh saw the opportunity to buy low. Metcalf is still a proven wide receiver one in this league, and pairing him with Rodgers, that's not just talent, that's statement-making. But every move in the NFL has a cost, and in this case, it meant saying goodbye to one of Pittsburgh's most promising and polarizing young stars, George Pickens. And some of you might think that this was for the best, and in a few ways I also agree. Pickens was hot-headed at times, he drew unnecessary penalties, killed drives, and at times cost the team momentum, and even games. But let's not pretend he wasn't wildly talented. He was a deep threat, he had crazy body control, elite hands, and Pickens could take over a game at any moment. What he did lack, in my opinion, was consistency, and Pittsburgh decided that wasn't something that they could wait on any longer. Pickens was traded to the Cowboys in exchange for a 2026 second-round pick and wide receiver Jalen Tolbert, who will likely serve as a depth or wide receiver 3 option in Pittsburgh's new-look offense. Now on the defensive side of the ball, a few big changes happened as well, starting with the trade that sent star safety Minkah Fitzpatrick to Miami in exchange for cornerback Jalen Ramsey. A lot of fans saw this as a pretty even trade, and honestly, I also agree. Ramsey brings veteran experience to a young Pittsburgh secondary, and he still has a name that commands respect from NFL teams, fans, and other players. Whether it was about locker room culture, contracts, or just needing a new look, this felt like a move more about identity than just pure talent for talent trade. And of course, a player like Minkah Fitzpatrick leaving, that will sting the fan base and the team. He's been the backbone of the Steelers secondary for years. But sometimes when things aren't clicking, the organization has to shake up its core. And when you're aiming for a deep playoff run, especially in the AFC nowadays, comfort isn't the priority, change is. And that brings us to one of the biggest looming stories for the Steelers and their upcoming season: the TJ Watt contract situation. Watt is entering the final year of his deal, and reports say he wants to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, asking for a number north of Myles Garrett's $40 million per year extension. And this is a massive ask, and it's got Steelers fans holding their breath. On one hand, he's the heart of this defense and has been for years. A consistent defensive player of the year candidate every single year, a relentless pass rusher, and the guy's offense's game plan around completely. And the Steelers have a tough decision to make. Do you lock up your cornerstone defensive player at any cost, or do you risk losing him and potentially reset again next year? With Rodgers on a one-year deal and big money tied up in Metcalf and Ramsey, there are real cap concerns here. And if we see the Steelers fail to produce with these signings and trades and moves, we could see TJ Watt finding a new home by next season, just because the Steelers may be forced to rebuild and kickstart a new era of Pittsburgh football. So with all of that being said, here's my prediction for the Steelers. I still think, and unfortunately to Steelers fans, that they have more to prove before we can call them real Super Bowl contenders. And before we look at the Steelers as a whole, we also have to take into account about the teams that they have to play and compete against to even get to the Super Bowl or even make the playoffs. We see in the AFC, it's the strongest conference that we've seen in almost the history of NFL football. You have names like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and now you're trying to compete against those guys with, no offense to Aaron Rodgers in any way, but he's 41. He doesn't have the athleticism to keep up with guys like the three I named, or Joe Burrow, or even Justin Herbert. These are teams that are getting better. They're getting more experience. They're getting coaches who are learning from mistakes that they've made in the past and come into the playoffs and even late regular season and make these changes. While the Steelers don't feel like they've really adapted to the way the game is played and always just tried to play their own hard-nosed football, and that hasn't worked out for them in the past. Yes, they've made moves that are flashy. Aaron Rodgers brings Hall of Fame cred, DK brings star power, and Ramsey brings swagger, but building a championship team takes more than just names. It takes chemistry, coaching, and of course, the trenches. Rodgers is 2 seasons removed from an Achilles tear. He'll be 41 when week 1 kicks off, but that doesn't mean he's done. We've seen Tom Brady ball into his 40s, but that's very rare. Rodgers has to stay healthy for all of this to work, and when you look at this offensive line, that can be a real concern. Last season, Pittsburgh O-line ranked near the bottom in both pass block win rate and sacks allowed, and Rodgers isn't 26 or 28 anymore. He's not going to make those same plays off script like he used to in Green Bay. He needs time, and if this O-line doesn't hold up, we could see a repeat of what we just watched happen with him in the Jets system. And it's not just the offensive line, it's the scheme. Rodgers has always worked best in systems that give him freedom, especially pre-snap. But we have to remember this is still a Mike Tomlin team, a defensive identity, ground and pound, field position football. And while that's respectable, it may not line up with Rodgers' play style. Will they let him control the offense like he did in Green Bay, or is he going to be forced to play within a structure that doesn't really fit his play style? That's another big question I have about this team. And there's the backfield. Najee Harris is gone, and Jaylen Warren, while very explosive, hasn't had to shoulder a real full season of touches. He's never been the true bell cow running back. And can he stay healthy? Can he handle 20-plus touches a game down the stretch in December? We'll just have to see. I know that he's a good back, but we'll have to see with this level of production and responsibility on his shoulders, can he continue to perform like he has? And as good as this defense is, and of course they will be good, it's not fair to ask them to carry this team once again. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Jalen Ramsey now, Cam Hayward, it's a solid core. But if the offense stalls and the defense is on the field all game long, you're just repeating the exact same script from the past few years. What really worries me though isn't Pittsburgh's own flaws. It's the AFC North. You've got the Ravens with Lamar, like I said, and a full offseason under Todd Monken's system. The Bengals get Burrow back healthy and still have one of the best offensive arsenals in football. And the Browns, say what you want, have a defense that can beat anyone on any given Sunday if whoever plays quarterback plays even average football. The AFC overall is stacked, like I also said. It's a gauntlet, and unless the Steelers come out of the gate red hot, they might fall behind fast. Even if they come out of the gate red hot, we've seen them slow down and falter and lose early on in the playoffs. I think, like always, they'll be competitive, they'll be physical, and they'll have moments where the Rodgers-Metcalf connection looks electric, but I don't see the consistency. I don't see the O-line holding up, and I don't see the coaching alignment matching the personnel they now have. As for my final prediction, I've got the Steelers going 9-8. Right on that playoff bubble. Maybe they sneak in as a wild card. Maybe they just miss. Their ceiling to me is not much higher. It's 11-6 if everything clicks. Their floor 7-10, 6-11 if Rodgers go down or the line collapses or we just see a complete failure of the system. In the end, they'll be dangerous but pretty flawed. And in a conference this deep, dangerous might not just be enough. So, yeah, will the Steelers be dangerous? Without a doubt. Can they go toe-to-toe with anybody on any given Sunday? As they always have, yes. But how much of that is based on an actual structure? And how much of it is just off-season hype? A big chunk of it feels like the smoke. And me personally, I'm not putting my faith in hype alone for a 17-game season, not in the AFC. But I may be wrong. Maybe Rodgers stays healthy, DK returns to Pro Bowl form, the line steps up, and this team surprises everybody. Let me know what you think. Are the Steelers legit contenders this year, or just another flashy story that fizzles out by late October? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I've got more deep dives, breakdowns, and bold predictions coming your way all season long.